You are listening to the Gamer Watch podcast.
There we go. Right, let me just get the script back up. Also, Duncan, I think you did extremely well as a makeshift host for the last episode on short notice. So I would like to say thank you for you taking over the hosting duties. Shaun, very quick one. Obviously, you did the audio editing. You did the audio editing. And when I saw you at work the other day, you mentioned something, didn't you, that both of us now have an undying hatred of.
I don't want to say hatred. It was just something that I never noticed for. Duncan's squeaky chair.
Duncan, your fucking chair, every goddamn minute, every breath you take. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Every single time you breathe, I hear your chair just seemingly breaking in half. So,
well, you know what the answer to that is, then?
What's that?
Just fucking buy me a new one.
I ain't buying you a fucking chair.
Well, then shut the fuck up.
Christmas is coming up.
Yeah, because we all know how much I fucking love Christmas. Anyway, Shaun, introduce the show.
Okay, welcome to Gamers Watch. It is 4 dozen, number 48. And that I can hear the chair now.
He's just doing it.
You shouldn't have told me. I'm just going to take the piss now. You shouldn't have said it.
Please don't, Duncan, please.
If you enjoy this podcast, and even if you don't, then be sure to follow us on Twitter, which is @GamersWatchCrew. Subscribe to us on YouTube, which is youtube.com/GamersWatch. Share this episode with your local giant birds. And then also on YouTube, hit the notification bell to be reminded when we are about to premiere, which is every Monday, 7:30 GMT, 2:30 Eastern, 1:30 Central, and 11:30 Pacific. So
also not yet. This is the last show that we're doing of the year.
Oh yeah,
we forgot to mention that.
Yeah, that's probably good to mention.
We aren't recording anything over the Christmas period. And when we come back, there's a very, very high probability that I won't be here because my partner is 37 weeks pregnant on Friday. And so our second baby could literally pop out at any moment. So it's going to be difficult
we're recording.
For me to... Yeah, it could. She could be in the background like, I really need to go to hospital. And I'm like, yeah, but Gaz has just said something funny again.
Or you'll be in hospital and the nurse will be like, are you going to help out? Or you're like, oh, sorry.
I'd be like, hi, I'm Harry from Gamers Watch.
Give me another 45 minutes. I'm in the middle of an episode here.
Yeah, sorry. The acoustics are really, really bad in this ward. Can we go somewhere else, please? So, yeah, there's a high probability that I won't be here. And unfortunately, it does mean, well, actually, no. For many people, fortunately, it does mean that I'm going to be on the show a little bit less often. But it does mean that when I am on, all hell will break loose because I will be sleep deprived like nobody's business. So I will just be full on lunatic mode.
And you'll have weeks worth of pent up rant.
Oh, I will indeed. Now, talking of full-on lunatic mode, we just want to have a little warning that the guest that we have on today has just told me that he says some pretty fucking intense things. So I would like to welcome, and I can't quite believe I'm saying this, BAFTA-nominated Tomas fucking Sala, who is the creator, the solo dev of the Falconeer. So welcome to the show, Thomas. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Well, cheers. I'm glad to be here.
It's amazing. Now, all of us have played the Falconeer. Shaun, I know that you picked up the DLC when it first came out.
Yep.
I absolutely love the world that you've created, and we are going to jump into a few questions shortly about your experience within indie gaming and the Falconeer itself and a little bit of Xbox stuff, because funnily enough, we are an Xbox podcast, apparently. But firstly, just a massive thank you for coming on the show. How can people find you? Where can people find your game? Where is it available?
Well, people could, if you're on the Xbox, it's on Game Pass, so that's I guess the cheapest way to get it, which is perfectly fine. It's on Steam, it's on PlayStation, it's on Switch, which is strangely the highest rated version. And I'm on Twitter, Falconeer Dev. That's it, and I rant all day.
It's good rants, and we'll come to something a little bit later that we've already had a little mini rant about. But firstly, congratulations on the Falconeer. It's been out for just over a year now, is that right?
Yeah. It came out at launch of the Series X.
Yes, it did. And so that would be about 13 months ago. So how long in the works was the Falconeer? Because I know that originally it wasn't the Falconeer and then you made it into the Falconeer. Is that right?
It's a sort of, once you start doing stuff by yourself, everything becomes a little chaotic and it's not very easy to put a date, because this is where I started the Falconeer, because it came from another game which I didn't finish, and so I'd say the oldest tweet I did on it was 2017, I think.
Wow.
So somewhere around that, 2018, and then with bits I was working working to make money, and then I've been full time on it since like January 2019.
Okay.
So it's a blurry process, so it's very hard to pin down.
So the game itself, from my point of view, it's heavily inspired by a few games that I played during my childhood. So where did your initial inspiration for the mechanics and the sort of the game itself come from?
I think the mechanics itself is probably very Crimson Skies.
Yeah.
In its controls, or at least its feel, because Crimson Skies a little different. It's that era of sort of arcadey fly games. And then, I think that end of the 90s, early noughties, sort of, fantasy air games, very imaginative stuff. So I think, but for me, the inspiration goes back when I was young, because I'm 45. So I was like Secret Weapons of the Luftwaffe and, Aces over the Pacific, and these really military, first generation of entertainment flight sims, which were, Chuck Yeager's Air Combat on your, 286, little PC with 16 colors. Just those very first 3D games, just fly. And, I'd play them as a kid, and yeah, you do some shooting, but mostly if there were islands or trees, you skim the trees. That's all you did for hours, flying around in your little Messerschmitt or Mustang, and then go, skimming the trees and the terrain. I look at videos from that time, it's just triangles. Is it just a mountain? In your mind back then, because we were so depraved of graphical fidelity, were like the best thing ever. So I think that the gameplay is really from that period, just zooming around and the joy of flying, which is I think still is an underrated gameplay sensation at the moment.
Now, I don't know if you've ever watched the film before, Shaun. I know that me and you have watched it together. A lot of the world, for me, it feels like there's a Studio Ghibli film called Porco Rosso, and it's a really weird pull, but it's a film about a talking pig that flies a biplane and tries to sort of defeat some pirates. And it's a very weird pull, but for me, the world of the Falconeer, it feels like a world. It doesn't feel like... I know, Duncan, you spoke about this with Psychonauts, where your character felt like a part of that world, not a character within a game. And I very much felt like the world that you had created was very self-contained. So when you were making the Falconeer, did you sort of use it as a canvas to be able to tell more stories, or was it very much a tightly knit story you were trying to make?
No, I am messy and chaotic in every way. So the storytelling itself and the world really came about through creating the game. So it's just it's a thing I figure out I do. I'll just wake up. I'll go to sleep and I'll wake up and go, giant flying eel with guns. And then or a city with giant carved statue, in a volcano, so I'll just wake up with these ideas, which is just some digested subconscious stuff, and I'll make it because it's fun, and if it's not fun I can't make it, and then I have to fit it into a storyline. So I think the thing I learned from the Falconeer, which I didn't know I could do, is mold that into a coherent, cohesive world. And have that be, a singular thing. So that's just really, it's like, I've said it so often, it feels like, the guy from Game of Thrones, the writer, J.R.R. Martin, he said you've got architects and you've got gardeners with regards to writers. An architect is like, Tolkien, who has all his shit together, has got maps and language histories.
Because Tolkien invented the languages before he'd even written the books.
Yeah, that was his science, languages. So he made the languages, then he made the family trees, and he made the pantheon. And then you have, J.R.R. Martin said, I'm a gardener. I'll just plant a seed, look at it, and if I like it, I'll give it some water, and if I don't like it, I'll cut it off. And it's a more evolved... I'm definitely the gardening type, so I'll grow stuff, and I'll ditch it or keep it if it's not fitting. And the entire... I'm looking at images of Porco Rosso now, because I haven't seen it. And I keep the Studio Ghibli, what's Miyamoto? What's his name?
Miyazaki.
Miyazaki. Yeah.
Miyazaki often has there's very similar inspirations. So there's lots of fascination with that. It's not steampunk. It's that more elegant age of just post steam. The going from biplanes into monoplanes, warships that are more bulbous and have that first generation of dreadnoughts. And he does that in a couple of movies, together with that sort of messy, city in the sky style, stuff stuck together. And that really vibes with me, and I think that comes from similar places, I guess. I haven't watched I've watched only the obvious Studio Ghibli films.
This is one of the more obscure ones, but it's one of my
Yeah,
absolute favorites. It's brilliant.
I watched Earthsea because I love the books by Ursula Le Guin. I thought that was a fantastic adoption, really a Japanese style adaptation of Earthsea, and I love that. It's just it's great. And he did that. There was this viral thing he did where he was bashing some guy selling him AI technology. Have you seen that little vid of Miyazaki in a conference room and someone's trying to sell him AI tools, and they
No,
do so
I've not
by
seen
showing
that.
him some zombies, procedurally animating, and he starts to, you can he thinks it's so gross that you would use zombies and have a computer decide how it's animated, and he gets really, he doesn't get angry, but he gets physically, how do you call it, sick of the idea. And then he asked the tech guys on the other side, the company's trying to sell him this tech, what do you want to do? Why are you here? And they said, we want to make a machine that can draw and animate like a human being. And his eyes pop out, why? He's an artist, everything he does is hand-drawn art about humanity and, people, and, everything's about being human. And here's these guys trying to sell him in, turning his art into something a machine makes. At the end of it, he said, I can't believe where we're at. It's like we have lost faith in ourselves and we need machines to do everything. And he's simply puzzled by the entire concept of AI generated animation. I love that video. If you've never seen it, go watch it.
I will definitely check that out.
It will show you something about the man that makes that art. It's and I have the same thing with it's super, the AI generated stuff. It has no soul. No human being was involved in making that. What's the purpose of it? It's not art. It's just pretty pictures.
Yeah, it's just color by numbers, isn't it? By a machine.
Yeah, it's hollow as fuck. There's no depth of. I said, well, we can teach a machine to write stories that are emotional, but there's no human being behind it. It takes away the artist, the writer, whoever is. You have no source of the emotion, so there's no value in it.
I think the analogy that I've seen is it's similar to if a lion learnt how to speak, you wouldn't be able to understand it because the two, it has no humanity to draw off of, to have any shared experience with. And it's the same with this AI generation.
But that would be assuming that the lion has some sort of intelligence and it's got something to say, but we just don't understand it because it's so different from us.
Yeah, so that there's no link between them. And I think that I 100% get what you mean, that when art becomes an activity done via zeros and ones, you lose that personal touch of it. Exactly as you said, with the way that you're a gardener, with the way you tell your stories. One of my favourite films of all time is Spirited Away. I know it's a very cliche Studio Ghibli film to love, but it's their best one. And they hadn't finished the film when they had started animating it. They hadn't even finished storyboarding it, and they just very much went along with it, and they created this beautiful work of art. I mean, for me, it's art on film, Spirited Away. And they made this incredible world that feels completely fleshed out and full of humanity. And when you take that element away from it, sort of, what is the point? Yeah, you could get an AI algorithm to create 100 video games in an hour, but where would any of the sort of human touches be?
Yeah, well, imagine, there was this song going around, a AI rendition of a Nirvana song.
Yes, I saw that.
It has no impact. It's why was Teen Spirit or the entire grunge or whatever, all that shit when we were young, when I was young, because it was someone else who understood us, who was going through shit, who was angry, who was misunderstood. It was a human being telling us, and it made us feel not alone as a teenager with all
And
our
that
anxiety.
AI
anger.
Nirvana song, it just does enough to make you think that it is a real thing. It hits the points that it knows it has to hit, but you can just tell that there is a machine behind it that is trying to learn what it is to be Nirvana, which you'll never be able to get
but
that.
it's not. Let's even if we're perfect. Once you said, well, it's not a human being that made it. There's no Kurt Cobain. There's no Novoselic. There's no heart behind it. Nobody suffered to make this. It has no power. It's like it will not connect. Because that's it's art is about connection between human beings. So in that sense, I love Miyazaki for having said that and vocalized that. And when you look at that video, you see that's in his heart. There's no faking that. It's just his entire being is his art. So when someone's tried, it's fantastic. It's an insult, and it's like to his core. It's I love that. So that's
I love the passion, Thomas. It's amazing to hear the passion you've got. Obviously you are extraordinarily passionate about the Falconeer, and I've seen you have one of the things that I absolutely love. And when I first downloaded the game, I'm not going to lie, I could not get through the opening mission because, as you know, there was a glitch that sometimes happened that meant that you couldn't capture the lightning. Now, what I absolutely love is that when that was brought up by people, you were just like, oh yeah, shit, that's not good. Let me fix it. And you were so open with your dialogue. You just told people like, I get that that's annoying. I'm really sorry. I'm one dude working on my own. Let me try and fix it. Give me some time. And I think that what comes across so well with you on Twitter is that you're so passionate about what you do that just by default just spreads over to other people. And you're one of a few people, and Mike Rose is another guy that I was speaking to Duncan about the other day, who isn't afraid to let that passion spill over and sort of say like, look, I'm doing this on my own. Give me a bit of time. And what did you do? You fixed it. And over the space of a year, I would say the Falconeer as it is today is completely different to what it was a year ago. And so what has that process been like through launch to now of hot fixes and tweaks and bug fixes?
Yeah, well, it's a painful process. So it's not, fun. Yeah, because you want. So when you make something by yourself, it's all you, and that'll go for any micro team or indie. It's all you, and all you want. You don't want to get rich of it. That'd be nice, That rarely happens, but
that's what
NFTs
NFTs
you want to
are
able
for,
to survive. You've all got all that stuff, but most of you want other people to like it.
Yeah.
That's why you get into art. You want, there's a part of you that just want to look. This is me. There's a
if
part
you did
of me
this
here.
for money, you wouldn't be doing a solo dev team, would you?
Yeah, I would have. I would have done a different game. But of course, I'm not stupid, so I try to make it as commercial as possible because I've got 3 kids, and congratulations, your kids are fantastic. But with that comes a little bit of fear that you have to feed them, and I make the joke. With a bit of luck, I can send one of them to university, so we need only one smart one. I got 3, so the other ones they'll just need to be game developers.
The odds are on your side. Then 1 out of 3 is not bad, is it?
We'll see. Doing that the first, because it was I got so the process is you about a month before the game gets live, you send it off to press if you're nice, so you give them the time to play it and review it. Doing an update takes about 2 weeks the first time you do it, because you don't have it needs to go to a process called certification, which is where Microsoft people check it. And you can imagine during a launch, new console gen launch week, the people at Microsoft headquarters are completely filled up because there's tons of games that want to do updates and patches. So it takes 2 weeks at the very minimum. So we sent out press build, and we sent it out when I was already starting to get COVID. So I was already starting, I could feel myself getting sick. I got tested, got positive for COVID, and then I was gone for 2 weeks. I was completely wasted. And then at the end of the 2 weeks, some of the previews were coming out, and we're getting signals. There's a couple of bugs in there, and one of them that was that the AI, I had fixed the AI to the point that it was lethal, and that's not good. So people were, the first previews were talking about difficulty spikes and that's just a fucking mistake. And then later the 1 in 20 error you had, where after charging or sometimes a pirate ship would come in and it would break the prologue EA tutorial setup and you couldn't progress.
That's what happened to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and someone said, well, 1 in 20, it's easy not to catch that in the buzz of release, but 1 in 20 means if there's 50,000 people playing it on whatever, that's thousands of people complaining about it. Even if you've got 5,000 users, that's hundreds of people, of which dozens will go into it. So you get those ones pretty bad. And I came out of COVID and I saw that, and it still had good reviews, but also reviews that didn't like it, and that hurt a lot. I realized, okay, I made these mistakes. And then, you're not gonna, at least I'm not the person to go blame the player for, you're just playing it wrong. And I understand that instinct because you want to defend what you do.
Yeah.
And you want to make, you want to make it right on the internet so that nobody sees it, that you made a mistake. But shit doesn't work because that's like whack-a-mole. People will put, the only thing is that, working on it. And then there's the period where you have to wait 2 weeks where you fixed it because you found it, and we fixed it pretty fast. And so I got into a habit of just listening and then doing patches upon patches upon patches. I think I had a patch every 4 days for the entirety of November and most of December. Just with improvements, stuff that was done, little things I thought could be better, rebalance the game, fix that AI. So even after a month, the game was already, getting better. But then you don't get the perfect reception you could have hoped for, because and you never, if you're an artist or making something, you never know how much of an impact it is, and that it's probably not that big an impact for most people. But you go, it's fucked, and that stress does power you on. So it powered me on for, I think, a good 6 months before I start throttling down to a more reasonable level where I just make more content. And luckily I had lots of stuff I just couldn't get in on time for the launch, which I was able to work with the publisher to release as free content updates instead of tagging it in on as DLC. Okay, so I wanted a couple of things that needed to be in there. One was wreck diving, and which was a more diverse side activity with a little cutscene, and that also gave you a lot of treasure in the first chapter, and that added to the diversity of when you get into the game. And I wanted to have piracy as a little side event where you become a criminal, you shoot people, and then there's a little story with that, and there's a money making mechanic. Those were the things I really, which should have been in the game at launch, and I wasn't able to do. So those were with the support of the publisher, just free content updates spread till March, I guess. That came out, and then extra weapons and stuff, and then we did a full DLC and a tiny DLC for Game Pass. So lots of people ask why do you add? When it came out in Game Pass was February, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was February because that's
and
that's
then people ask
why
do you have such a a $1.99 or $2.99 just a flyable dragon and a new weapon? Why is that? Why do a tiny, uninteresting DLC like that? And the reason you do it is to test out if there's a market for DLCs, if your DLC stuff works, and what the conversion rate is, and that'll convince a publisher, say, well, let's make something bigger and stuff like that. So, and then we did that, and that's more or less, up to summer to the PlayStation and the Switch release, who got everything integrated, and then all the content went into either a free update to Xbox or that DLC that's out there, the big one.
So how has it been working with Xbox? Obviously, I know that we can't go too in depth about numbers and figures, but
I think Xbox are the most indie friendly party at the moment. Just because they are, well, let me say first, I really enjoyed working. I've worked with PlayStation first party as well. I work with a lot of people, and the openness of Microsoft, their teams, it is quite unique in the industry. And there's I think the biggest compliment you could give is that you can feel the engineering DNA in their entire outfit.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and they've got history with indies because obviously they were the ones that launched. Really, I would say they launched indie games onto the console platform with Xbox Arcade. Because
definitely,
that was a
yeah.
huge paradigm shift in indie gaming to not have to have a PC to play these games.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, what's telling with them is that they sat down with me and said, well, you know, the first time I met, they said, these flying air combat games, they're not usually huge sellers. And they were right with that. But there's a faction of our audience that really enjoys them. And we have a legacy with these types of games. And that's why we want to sign it. That is an assessment which is business-wise on point. But it also indicates they are actually thinking about what their audience wants, not just what sells a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
And what fills out their, and Game Pass does that. They need to fill out their portfolio, that there is variety, big and small. And that is, I think that's something new they've discovered through Game Pass. Is that an appreciation for how you fill out a roster?
Oh no,
And how you
absolutely.
serve your community. And I think that's, you know, they get a lot of flack for not having, you know, that many AAA tentpoles, which is arguable for sure, with, you know, in comparison with PlayStation. But that is part, I guess, of their understanding of what a community needs. The same way when you go to Netflix, you don't want to watch that big sci-fi or fantasy tentpole series. Sometimes you just want to watch some anime, or, you know, some stupid rerun, or, you know, some indie stuff, or documentary. And I think that's their perspective at the moment, and that makes them. I think that's valuable for people like me.
No, definitely. And I can't even list the number of games that I have played this year, yours included, if it wasn't for Game Pass. I mean, you know,
yeah, for sure.
Shaun, you can obviously attest to this. You played the Falconeer through Game Pass, and you bought the DLC. Would you have bought the game and the DLC had it not been for Game Pass?
Most likely not, if I'm being honest. But yeah, it was through Game Pass that I heard about the game, sort of thing. So then I played it. I loved what I played, and then bought the Flying Dragon DLC on top of it. But yeah, if it 100%, if it wasn't for Game Pass, then it would have been much less likely that I would have even like heard of the game, sort of thing.
Yeah, and you know, imagine, and there's no shame in that. And people sometimes, I'm sorry, I played it through Game Pass. I go, what the fuck are you sorry for? I got paid for that, and you're playing it. That's my main goal.
Someone said it. You don't just put it on there because you think it's going to be a laugh. It's a business decision.
Yeah, for sure. It's a business, and Microsoft's bloody reasonable about it. And you get paid, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. You know, you and I don't know what the number is at, but likely you and 750,000 players played it on Game Pass.
Yeah.
So what the fuck? That
is
is
a huge number.
Stupendous number. Yeah, apparently that's also quite good on Game Pass for an indie, so I'm super happy with that. And there's lots of people that didn't like it or would never tried it and went, oh, this is not for me. And I'm sure all the arguments people say, well, if you buy a game, you're more inclined to, you know, like a Falconeer, which is a slow starting game. You know, it takes you a couple of hours before it gets truly epic, which is a mistake on my part. But hey, when you buy
Falconeer
something,
too.
there's more people dropping off quicker because you just have more. But that's whatever you do. Doesn't matter what game you put out. There's so much games out there. People are much more quicker to, you know, to leave your game.
What makes me laugh?
There's also more people trying it out. So the chance that you'll get an audience that likes it is massively higher than on something like Steam, where you're gonna get lost in the, you know, that 100,000 games that get released every week.
And what makes me laugh is that this argument of, well, if you buy the game, you're more likely to finish it. How many people have Steam libraries with 900 games that they've all bought on summer sale and they've not played even 90% of them?
Yeah, I have that. Well, actually, I've been playing Game Pass, and I actually now play streaming games on my PC as well. So I'll turn on xCloud if I'm too lazy to install something, just to give it a shot.
Yeah, I do that on my Xbox at the moment. They've enabled it through the Series S and X now. And so I will, if I can't be bothered to sit there and download a game, and it's just a little indie game and it's 5 or 6 gigabytes, I'll play it through xCloud. I do it with my little lad. He's only 2 years old. Really likes Super Lucky Tales because it's a fox and he likes Fox.
Yeah.
And so I just stream it through the cloud and away he goes. And he just hops about the first level. I don't have to download the thing. It's just And that just shows that they are software engineers. That they know how to make software.
And they're hardware, and they're it's and engineering is a mindset. So it means people are free to speak because that's what you need in an engineering. You don't have that hyper corporate where everybody's locked between. You can say this and that. That's not how it works in an engineering team. If something's shit, you need to be able to say it. Otherwise, the engineering gets shit. So and that goes throughout. That's my personal opinion of my experience working with them. That goes throughout their organization, from marketing to things. So I found it a very open and responsive set of people who I'm terribly grateful for giving me that shot. And it has given me a deep appreciation for what they're trying to do with Game Pass and how disruptive it is. And there'll be a dark side to it at some point, but at this point of time, it's super interesting, and it is I think by and large very positive.
Yeah, I mean, John from Xbox Era, I think he put it best, where people always say, oh, you're not owning your games. Xbox aren't making money with it, this, that. I do not care if Xbox are making money from Game Pass. I want to play lots and lots of games for not a lot of money. And what Game Pass lets me do, Game Pass lets me play lots and lots and lots of games for not a lot of money. And on top of that, I did all access. So I also got a brand new console to play lots and lots and lots of games on for not a lot of money. So frankly, I couldn't give two shits if Microsoft aren't making money. I want to play video games. That's what I care about.
There's another thing as well. I just wanted to say about
oh shit! Hello, Shaun. Fucking hell.
You're right. The people that say like Game Pass, people that use Game Pass aren't like really supporting the devs and that. I think since using Game Pass, I've supported more devs through like DLC and that than I ever did before. So
100%.
So like with 2 Point Hospital, when we played that earlier this year, I think it was, I've now got all the expansions for it, which I imagine if I bought the game on its own outside of Game Pass, I wouldn't really have done. And like I also said, I bought the Flying Dragon DLC for Falconeer, and once I have some time after the Christmas holidays, I'll probably go through the Edge of the World expansion as well. So since using Game Pass, I've supported through like expansions and DLCs way more than I ever would have done before Game Pass sort of thing.
And Duncan, you're obviously our resident indie choice man. How many indie games have you played because of Game Pass this year?
I can't put a number on it, mate. God, fucking hell. Must be like 30 plus, something ridiculous. And it's the same thing we've said so many times, where I wouldn't have played them if it wasn't for Game Pass. But on the other hand, like Shaun just said.
Sorry, Duncan, I absolutely completely lost you then.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, your audio just completely cut out for me.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, can you say that again for the guys at the back, please, Duncan?
Really? Fuck's sake. Is it? Can you hear me properly?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. It literally just completely cut out. You were like, and the thing about it is, and then it was complete silence.
Oh, I think I'm mute this time. So what we were saying about Shaun, where you were saying where you bought like expansions, etc. I've probably spent more money on games this year because of the money I'm saving on Game Pass, if that makes any sense. So I don't feel like I'm wasting my money just chancing my arm at a game, thinking, oh well, I might like it, so I drop 30 quid on it. Whereas chances are there's a game I'll love on Game Pass. So then I think, oh, that's fine. Well, I've got 15 quid to spare. I can chuck it on an indie game. So like the last couple of weeks, I bought what's it called, The Juggler's Tale. And again, if I was having to spend the money on supporting my habit of my hobby of gaming, I probably wouldn't have afforded just like a little impulse purchase of an indie game. Whereas now, because of Game Pass, it's great, lovely time of your life.
It's definitely a paradigm shift for gaming. Now, the only thing I would say is I would love for there to be a way that if I could download something from Game Pass and then sell it to someone and make money off of it using the blockchain, I would love that option. I think that would be great, especially if we could like target it towards children. Then we're in for a winner because they don't know what money is, you see. So they just grab mummy or daddy's credit card, put the digits in, and you're fucking rolling in bank. So when are we getting the first Falconeer NFT, mate? Is that coming soon?
I'm doing drop tomorrow. But yeah.
Also, before we start on this, there's two things I want to mention. Keanu Reeves shredded NFTs to pieces in 15 seconds, and one of the Bored Ape NFTs accidentally sold instead of for $300,000 for $3,000. It's incredible. Fuck those guys. It is a joke.
On that,
but look at those fucking Bored Ape. What the fuck are you buying? It's not even a Beanie Baby. It's
like you said, it's an
bit of
it's AI generated art that has nothing
what the
towards
fuck?
it.
It's not. Don't even use the word art. It's fucking pixelated. It's nothing. It's
bullshit. What were you going to say, Duncan?
Exactly that. That it's just AI generated. I'd be embarrassed to buy that. It's fucking shit. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm an artist, but also I do quite a lot of like drawings here and there, like the Poge. And I don't do it anymore. I mean, I certainly don't think I'm good enough for someone to rip me off. But it's like, well, I don't want to draw something and then see some cunt nick it and sell it for 200 grand and for some bullshit fake currency. It's fucking bullshit.
Now, Thomas,
can make notes on that.
Yeah. You might know a bit more about the blockchain than we do. Now, Shaun, Duncan, do either of you know how the blockchain works or what it is?
I have a very vague sort of blanket knowledge of it. It's the first thing in my life so far where I haven't been able to wrap my head around it instantly, and it's really annoying because I used to take
all
the
right
piss
then,
out.
Mensa. It's the first thing in my entire life I've never understood.
Like I've taken the piss out of my dad all my life for not understanding technology and bits, and being like, I doubt I'll ever get like that because I'll just like research it a bit and that. And now I'm in a position where I'm like, oh, I might be turning into an old person now. Like, I'm going to get scammed by an NFT at some point.
I'm going to pretend right now that you're your dad and I'm going to be you, right? So basically what an NFT is it's a pyramid scheme for frat boys, okay?
Right.
That's it.
Have they ran the juice out
it's
of
a pyramid scheme, but it's a pyramid scheme that is running the juice out of the entire earth because the energy consumption that these fucking things use is a joke. I will caveat it that I think that blockchain has some very interesting uses in currency transfer and in the sort of cybersecurity side of things. But from a point of view of people wanting to jump on the crypto and NFT bandwagon, the ship sailed. And at this point, it is just throwing money at pictures that you can right click and save as. Like, it's a joke. So, Thomas, what are your views on bringing NFTs and gaming together? Because every single big AAA studio is currently wanking themselves silly at the thought of ripping off children.
Well, I can explain why they are wanking themselves silly, because that's the reason for that is money.
Yeah,
like anything. So that's the reason now. So I put it in a tweet a while back. I think it's the best one I did so far was that, okay, so big corporation, they are now, let's say, scamming. Well, let's not call it. So they are making money of you through microtransactions, subscriptions, whatever.
Free to play.
It's them getting money of you. That's a one-on-one relationship. It's a relation between them and their, users. So let's say they have 100,000 players company. They will sell to those 100,000 players. What they're saying now with NFTs and blockchain, what I'm saying, well, we'll get all those 100,000 players to sell to each other. So they'll say when you have an item in the game, so let's say FIFA, you earned a player or you upgraded a player through, investing in coaching the football player, and you want to sell him to your friends because you put the effort in to make him better. You can sell him to your buddy. They'll get a little part of that transaction because, it's house always wins. So always imagine with anything that's like this, like a casino or whatever, they're making the money of it. So what they want is all those 100,000 people selling stuff to each other and them making money off of
the
that.
Commission, yeah.
Yeah, so that means 100,000 people selling to 100,000 people is like an exponential growth of the amount of transactions you can have. So it's like, suddenly everybody sells 10 items. You're talking about, 1 million fucking transactions instead of 100,000.
But for a finite thing that only exists within that one world.
That's what they're, and they normally would say, why would I sell my fucking horse armor? If you go back, I can buy it from Blizzard or whatever, Bethesda in this case. Why would I want to buy it from a buddy? So they're saying, well, your buddy made it better, or your buddy put some graphics on it, skinned it, whatever, and you can see whoever all the stuff that happened to that horse armor. That's what the blockchain does, because you can go back and see all the transactions and say, well, this blockchain are, what they want is, this horse armor got upgraded by user X, then it was part of raid, and thus they create a scarcity, because this is now a super rare epic level item you can sell to your buddy, and from which they can grab a percentage. The best thing they want to do is make you all go crazy like Beanie Babies and say, well, wow, I've got the ultra rare horse armor. It's fucking rare. I've upgraded it. Nobody else has it. There's only 2 in existence. I'm going to get $5,000 from it from some other guy. And they take their massive provision, their 15 or 25 or 30%, which is the industry standard, of that transaction. And they're laughing themselves from the bank. Because it exponentially scales up the amount of money transactions related to their game. And because games have hype cycles, we had Genshin Impact. Yeah, everybody's hyped. Now we're going to be hyped for Halo Infinite, whatever. There's always a new audience that, oh, look, the super rare Master Chief fucking, this and that armor. Oh, fuck, I'm going to sell. There's always a new hype cycle of people want to get into that. So imagine the Diablo auction house on fucking steroids. And everything is unique, everything is rare, everything is traceable, and they make money on everything. So that's why they're in it.
Yeah, that Diablo reference is one that I definitely would say is...
Yeah, so if we can get everybody addicted so that they're not... they're paying $60 for a AAA game, and then they're going to pay $100 for that unique gun or skin or whatever. That's even better. They made $160 of that game, and if that gets sold 1,000 times, because that's the most valuable item in the game, and everybody's selling it to everybody, so it doesn't get sold once, twice, 3 times, for whatever. That's the dream they're selling, because that's the blockchain. They're turning everything into a speculative, market. And that there's huge money in that, in their eyes, So that's why they're in it. It's turning everything into fucking a stock. Everybody becomes a stockbroker if you're into games. And the concept they're selling for games now are stuff with trading cards or tradable assets or Diablo clones and a lot of Minecraft clones. They say, yeah, user-generated content, something like Dreams or Roblox or Minecraft, where you get to sell whatever you created if it's good enough.
So I know that we spoke just before this show about something that's happening in Roblox, and I'm not 100% aware of exactly what is happening in Roblox. So we will talk about that. Something hilarious has happened on Twitter, basically, and it's probably our most liked comment within the past couple of weeks. And somebody put, I can't remember who exactly it was, but they put a post up saying, like, I want nothing to do with NFT gaming. I want nothing to do with it. I think it's disgusting. I think it's awful and horrendous. It was Jeff Keighley that put it up. So for once, he's actually doing something that's actually quite good. And someone commented underneath saying, I like the idea of NFTs in a game. Imagine Yu-Gi-Oh! But with genuine cards, and people sell them to each other and make a profit. And someone just put underneath, that's Yu-Gi-Oh card. Just buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards. What are you talking about?
That's the model they always put for, like Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
So these companies are creating a problem in order to sell you the solution. That's all they're doing. They're saying, oh, well, that's not going to work. This will work. Give us money. It's nonsense that people can't see through this. But what is going on sort of in the Roblox world?
What's going on is that, crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all that shit has shown that young people nowadays, because it's a lot of young people, are very susceptible to speculation and speculative ownership. I think that's fucking, I've said it before, I think the reason is that because, young people have it's a garbage time to be young. And it's very hard to see how you're going to get ahead in this world. Putting your money in the bank is definitely not worth it. You can't buy a house because it's too fucking expensive. So young people who have no money, basically, are fucked. All over the world, that's the universe. You're fucked. You've got student debt. You're fucked. So people are desperate to get ahead. And so crypto, Bitcoin, everybody's gone crazy because it's a way to get ahead, to get out of the rat race and to get rich or get money. And it's playing on your fears in that sense that there's no other way to get ahead. And that's when you talk to people who are into crypto, again and again, it comes back. There's no other way to get ahead.
All I need is for this coin to lose 7 zeros and then I'm set for life.
That's the danger of speculation is, someone's got to pay for that. If you go, and we were having the discussion before, he said, well, I know people that made a lot of money. I know people that made a lot of money from Bitcoins, but somebody had to pay for them. They had to sell their coins to someone. Who did that by? Well, I heard of a story of someone who sold his first apartment, took the extra money he made, which was quite a lot of money, could have bought him, a bigger apartment or, kickstarted his fucking life. He put it all in blockchain, in crypto, and lost everything. So that sucker paid for someone else's profits.
And you don't hear of those stories.
And you don't hear those stories because people are ashamed and, it gets crowded out. But that's mathematically, for a few people to get rich, you got to have a lot of people that get poor. That is the core mechanism of stock market. People say, yeah, but we're fucking up the banks and banks need to die. We've got this disruptive technology. You're doing what the banks are doing. And as soon as and they're catching on and they're better at it because you've got 1,000, they've got $1 billion to invest in this shit.
Yeah.
Once you see they've got you hook, line, and sinker, they're gonna fucking get you for every penny. So it's speculation. So I think lots of people are seeing that, young people specifically, but everybody at the moment is fucked. Everybody's in debt. We're in a very depressing phase of our economies. Everything is measurable. I go out and sell my car. I know exactly how much money I'm going to make because I go on the internet. So, your car is worth this amount. And that's what you're going to get. That's your life is, measurable. If you become an apprentice, electrician, you know how much money you'll be making in 10 years. And that's depressing in a way, There's no magic, whatever. So people are diving on that and all these companies are going, wow, all these speculative bubbles, we want a part of that because it's like a fucking casino and casinos make a fuck ton of money off the same people desperate to get ahead in life. They just need a challenge.
And that's happening in Roblox.
And that's that's what all these companies are seeing. And that's happening with this blockchain games. The danger is what you see in Roblox, which isn't an NFT or crypto game. In Roblox is a game where you get to make other games for kids. And it was sold as a safe environment for kids to learn how to program and have games played by their friends and make it with your friends. And at some point, they allowed you to make money of that. And lo and behold, what happens when you take all this stuff like a marketplace or, a stock market or any type of financial tract and put it in a kid's playground? Because, Roblox is for kids.
Yeah, it's literally a child game.
Fucking dark and abusive in like Snap. Because imagine giving one kid a lot of money because of his game. What he's going to do, he's going to hire other people. He's going to give it to games. They're going to bully, but now with money. So kids in a marketplace some kids will get leverage over other kids. So imagine the leverage you had on a schoolyard was, he's got a new pair of sneakers and that makes him cool. And you don't have a pair of sneakers because your parents are poor. So you get fucked. So that's the mechanic on a schoolyard. Now imagine if one guy has a game that sells for thousands and he can hire other kids to make the assets for its little Roblox games. So there's all these communities. And what happened is at some point, Roblox said, the forums were getting a little bit toxic, of course. And they said, well, we won't do any forums. And people did it in Discord. So it's all outside of Roblox. And all these toxic communities started to appear and kids getting abused because they want to be game developers. And kids, 12-year-olds started to work for 14-year-olds. So that's what that video is about. And then that is the first stage of darkness. The second stage is that what happened is that when kids have leverage over other kids through ownership and money, dark stuff happens. And if you take that further, what happens when that kid's not a kid but an adult? So stuff gets incredibly dark. So there's kids that turn 21 and they're talking sexual shit to 12-year-old girls who are on Roblox. And there's 50 billion Roblox users. So the stories will get darker and darker and darker. And they just had a few reasonably mild cases, but you can imagine how dark it gets. And so I've been in educational games for a long time, for 20 years. I know people that did all these kids games in the 90s, Penguin World and all that shit. They employed teams of people to weed out the adult bad actors in those communities. And it's nobody's saying this, but these are pedophiles, like flies to a shit. Having a place where kids are communicating with each other will get invested by adults with ulterior motives.
What
and
a
if you
fucking hideous world.
Yeah, but this happens in gaming every day. I read an article in the paper. It said if you talk to kids nowadays, they say, yeah, I've met an adult who wanted to give me, I don't know, some credits for my game, but I know I'm not crazy, and we're talking about sexting and pictures and stuff. This happens on a scale you wouldn't believe. So some of these companies have entire divisions dedicated to weeding that shit out, and that's been online with all these Neopets stuff. They had people weeding out, let's call it the bad people, all the time, and when there's no money. So imagine that shit going on. And that's happening now in Roblox on every fucking level. And now imagine that game is about a marketplace where whatever you create is worth money, or whatever rare item you can have is worth something. It can make you rich. That's the promise. That the leverage people will have over each other. It's as unsafe a playground as you can imagine for kids. It's like sending them to a casino. At some point they'll get addictive, and there'll be an adult in the corner who said, "Hey, you want some more quarters?" That's fucking what's happening.
Yeah.
I've talked to fucking blockchain game entrepreneurs, and they have never thought about this shit. They said, "Oh, but we just want to introduce crypto to a new generation." Are you fucking retarded? So it's when, because something like Ubisoft, we're adults, so we play violent games, but Assassin's Creed, there's an army of 12-year-old kids playing Assassin's Creed, or GTA or whatever. It's
Yeah.
what we grew up on after all. So we can say it's an adult industry, but the majority, or a large
We all
chunk,
played games that were out of our age range. We all did it.
yeah. So a large
And the companies
chunk of
know
the
that this is happening.
Yeah, so when they say we want to make you owners, what, you want to make 12-year-olds owners of your next game? Are you fucking out of your mind? It means they have no consideration of safety or whatever's going to happen. So that's, for me, that's you can hear it in my, it's ridiculous.
Dangerous.
It's dangerous, and it's dark, and it's going to get, once these things go out, it's going to get even darker, Korea banned that one Axie Infinite, because it's a blockchain game, and because they can see that. Governments will see that. They have gambling divisions that regulate gambling, and they will say, okay, fuck, money for kids, we'll regulate the fuck out of that. And if someone says, we'll make this the future of our industry, it means that everybody will come under the watchful eye of their local government's, gambling board. That's what's going to happen, because they're just going to say, that's what these, we do have a functional government. Hopefully they will say, this is not legal. We're going to regulate this. And that's why in the UK, or when you go to Ladbrokes and you want to gamble, you have to be probably 18, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's the same in the States. You have to be 21 if you want to go to Vegas. And, that's not just dangerous for the kids. That's dangerous for our industry. I make games. I don't want to need to go up to some gambling authority.
Ugh. Yeah, no, I don't like the sound of that. Shaun, do you understand blockchain now?
Yeah. yeah, I understand it, and I don't want anything to do with it.
You don't want blockchains in games? Duncan, what about yourself?
No, thanks.
Well, there's this big thing going on at the minute with loads of like Earth 2, things like that. So they basically they split the world up into a grid, and you can buy a plot. You can buy a plot of land. So in the future, someone can buy it off of you. And I see things where, like, there's these mugs who have bought £500,000 worth of virtual land on a picture of the world, and they're like, "Well, who are you going to sell it to, mate? Who the fuck in their right mind is going to buy a picture of a dusty farm in 10 years' time?"
Yeah,
it's taking people for mugs. And then you got people like Peter Molyneux thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna make a game out of this." Come on, mate. You are the most disappointing man ever to have existed in the games industry. So it's just people just
he is
jumping
the
onto
premature ejaculation of the video games industry.
Peter Molyneux. Fuck.
And it goes beyond games. So there's a thing earlier on where they're using, dead Stan Lee's account to shill NFTs as well. It's disgusting. Absolutely hate every single fucking thing about it.
Yeah, man, I saw a thing where established music journalists, they put up a NFT stuff with mugs or muggles or dudettes or something.
Yeah.
And it's characters of dudes, and you buy them like as NFTs, and they're generating 10,000 on the. And their excuse to do is because we want to set up a musical community and fund 2 or 3 music bands or electronic artists with the money we make. I think that, so you want to sell people a shitty picture to fund 3 bands, and you're selling 10,000 of those. It's like everybody's coming out of the woodworks to make a scam and to get money from people. It's the only, they just want to make cash. I saw Sergi Tarke, the lead singer. I'm misgarbling his name. The lead singer for fucking
Serge
System of a
Tankarian,
Down.
Yeah.
So the fucking lead sister of one, we're gonna build a prison system, which is the most fucking subversive motherfucker around, which is a hero of mine. He dropped some fucking NFTs and said, yeah, but we're taking down the banks and we're establishing a new world order. No, you're not.
You're
just
money.
making the financial fucking game that fucking ruining our fucking world, and you're making more of it. It's like fucking you're doing what banks do, but because banks aren't doing it, it's okay. It's like fuck your heroes in that sense. I think lots of people are just going crazy, and they're because people are like making a lot of the story around it, this subversive, we're gonna fuck the banks and the financial system. It's just ridiculous, man. You want to be banks. You're not fucking anybody. You want to be the bank. That's what, and you want to be the stockbroker.
And I think that in a general sense, for me, that is why I am being turned away from the AAA game industry sort of on a daily basis. I mean, let's look at what's happened recently over the last few months in the AAA games industry. We've had Activision staff all being made redundant just before a huge launch, and Activision having made literally billions this year on Warzone. We've got Activision staff members having killed a female member of staff through abuse. We've got Blizzard employees who are having their breast milk stolen. We've got the head of PSN who's been outed as a paedophile. We've got the head of Nvidia being outed as a paedophile. And now we've got Ubisoft, who also, Vay Guillemot, I just want to mention his name. He is the head honcho at Ubisoft. He's got a pretty fucking shady background with sexual misconduct. He's now also selling gambling to children. What is going on in the games industry that this is being normalized?
It's because it's a slippery slope that people are now slowly seeing what's happening. This shit has been happening for decades.
They got away with it. We'll do it. We'll do it worse. And it's a never-ending cycle of the AAA game industry doing things worse than the people before them because they could get away with it. And it's wrong. And I think that's why this year more than any, it's become apparent to me, and this is going to be a great segue, Duncan, you're going to love this one. That's why I think indie games this year have cemented themselves as being so important, because you can take yourself away from that bubble of bullshit that happens within that huge industry, and you can just enjoy games made by people who love making video games. Games like Flynn, Son of Crimson, Spiritfarer, The Falconeer, Artful Escape, Death's Door, some absolutely phenomenal games I've played in the last 2 years, have some of my favourite experiences that we'll be talking about on another show in a few weeks. All of my favourite gaming experiences this year have come from indie games because they don't participate in that relentless, endless grind to make money. Stephanie Sterling, James Sterling, Stephanie Sterling says it the absolute best, is that the games industry is always after endless and limitless exponential growth at the expense of everyone else. Bobby Kotick doesn't need any more money. He doesn't. He is laughable how much money that bloke has. He doesn't need any more money. These huge giant studios, they've had their time. They need to, if they can't survive in a modern day world without scamming children, they need to fuck off, as far as I'm concerned. I love indie games, basically, is what I wanted to say. Duncan, do you love a good indie game?
Well, yeah, because I've got a segment about indie games.
Yes, you do.
Mate. The fucking indie game guy. I completely agree. What I find with indie games is that developers actually just want you to have a nice time, and I don't believe that at all with AAA games. So the noncing aside of most of the industry,
Did you just
I
spit your drink out?
spat water everywhere.
I mean, it's just even things like the way they. You're right.
Yeah, I'm okay. Carry on.
Are you sure? Just the way they're releasing games at the minute. Like, I was excited for Battlefield. Complete shit. We've had our issues with the Halo multiplayer. We're not going to talk about it again.
No.
Just so many things. Like, we played Cyberpunk after a year. It's still fucking broken. And I think I'm just really sick of having the piss taken out of me by AAA developers. And I just kind of fell into games like through the show because you said, "Oh, play this indie game and play that one," and then ended up I was like, "Fucking hell, I should do this more often." But like you say, like Spiritfarer will remain one of my favourite games of all time. And like the games, some of the snigger then, as I said that.
No, I turned to belch.
Oh.
Sorry.
I thought you were taking a piss.
I took a big gulp of beer and then regret it.
Yeah, I, if there's a little burp, it's me.
And yeah, I mean, you just look at the variety of them. So Harry, also you mentioned Flynn, like an absolutely like perfect kind of hit of nostalgia, made by one guy. Obviously, Falconeer, Tom, this amazing world you built. I've really loved Unpacking, which is just a game about unpacking boxes after you moved house. Just these unbelievable experiences that you just don't get with AAA games because they're not cookie cutter games just to tick some boxes like I got, the old Ubisoft joke of going up a watchtower or, all these things on a map. But yeah, I think I might even set myself a challenge for next year just to not play a AAA game and just play indie games because they're just more fun. Indie games are nice, innit?
Indie games are nice, innit? From our resident indie game reviewer. Now, Shaun,
who you had to ask if he likes indie games.
Yeah, well,
I'm wearing a fucking t-shirt that says Duncan Waters Indie Choices.
He does the segment to punish himself.
Yeah, we made you the shirt that says Duncan Voices Indie Choices, and you're currently wearing it on a podcast where your segment is about indie games. So, yeah. Now, Shaun, I did want to just very quickly bring up your article that you wrote for Lords of Gaming. I know that we've spoken about it briefly before, but one of the indie games that is in there, and I would classify it as an indie game, is Psychonauts 2.
Yeah, I mean, it was crowdfunded. It was literally Microsoft.
Yeah.
When did Microsoft? Was it last year or year before that they got Double Fine?
I think it was the year before. Yeah. So that game has got a very special place in your heart, and so I would like you to just talk about your experience with the themes that Psychonauts brings up. And I need you to talk for a good 5 or 6 minutes because I'm about to have a massive coughing fit and I need to go and make myself a drink. So I'm going to just mute myself and put my headphones down. And I want you to tell the audience how much you love Psychonauts and what that game means to you, and go over some of the points that you covered in your article. And I'm going to quickly run off and make a drink. All right? I'll be 2 minutes.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Well, I won't go into too much detail because, again, I still don't want to spoil it because I know some people wouldn't have got around to playing it yet. But one of the things I loved about Psychonauts 2 was how they approached mental health and other characteristics and traits that people can have. They approached it with so much care, and they didn't tackle just one single aspect as well. So, for example, Hellblade is very much psychosis. With Psychonauts 2, you can have one level is dealing with depression and anxiety, and then another level deals with sort of addiction, and then another level will be a completely different mental issue. And I just say they took each level and treated each character with such care. There was no putting any character down for what they suffered from. It was more about healing and lifting them up. And I just thought throughout the whole game, it done it perfectly. And that's why, personally, Psychonauts 2 was my game of the year for this year. And also because I just love Tim Schafer. But as I'll go off as well, because we're talking about just indie games as well. One of the things that I think separates indie games is that the developers themselves can take a few more risks in regards to the systems and mechanics of the game, because I can't ever imagine a game such as, let me think of it out, such as like Cuphead getting approved from a like AAA publisher for a studio, because it's a smaller scoped game. It is literally a platformer with difficult boss fights. And I can't imagine a publisher doing that. Or Papers, Please, which is a game I haven't played in a while. I absolutely loved Papers, Please. But I couldn't see that sort of story or mechanics ever coming from a AAA studio.
No, because you'd get some bigwig that would look at it and be like, "Oh, that's not going to make enough money," and then wobble away with his fat chin back to his office. But yeah, I completely agree, because it is like it's a lot unpacking things like that. A game literally about like, unpacking boxes when you've moved house. One of the worst, the worst experiences in your life. It's never going to get signed off by EA or whoever. But yeah, kind of just come back to what you said about Psychonauts 2. What I really like mental health wise with it, compared to Hellblade, it almost feels like it tries to like simplify mental health, not dumb it down, but to almost make it easier to explain. So like it's, say, you know, your kid is going through something like anxiety or something like that. And I always focus on like the panic attack enemy type. And I kind of feel like it sums it up, what they might be going through, to kind of help you understand what your kids are going through. I feel like I'm completely garbled that. I feel like it's like a almost like a children's book of mental health for adults.
It allows people to. It allows people to like emphasize with what others may be going through, and at the same time can allow people who are suffering from something to express how they're feeling through the game to other people, so they can further understand what they're going through. That sort of thing.
I don't know if Harry's back. Thomas, what's your favourite indie game that isn't your own?
Yeah, so give you a little. I love AAA games. So
I've been playing Far Cry 6
I'll get to the
this
indie games
evening.
quickly, but there is a lot of good people working in AAA games who just want to make spectacular experience and spectacular landscapes and spectacular stories. They exist. I think what's happened is it's being a victim of your own success. There's now so much money in it. Like you said, it's become about the money, and the people who actually passionate about games, who put up these companies and pave the way, are weeded out for people who want to turn it into some mobile gaming money making scheme. So I love indie games as well, because I make indie games, but I also appreciate AAA games. I just want to have said that, because we can bash it all day long, but some of these experiences are incredible. So my favorite indie game. So let me think. What I really like. I don't know if it's indie game, but I really loved Banner Saga, which is sort of, I guess, indie. So games like that. I love Frostpunk, which it's upper limit indie, but that's a studio that's definitely doing their own thing with the stories they're telling. So I love indies that are able to have some sort of production value, that draw me into their world, and they provide me worlds to explore that are utterly original. And
is Frostpunk that the RTS that's set in like the?
It's not it's more a city builder.
The Frozen world.
Yeah, so and I highly recommend it. So I love that kind of stuff. So let me see, what else did I play recently?
I'm back, by the way. I had.
How your coughing go?
I'm okay. I'm all right.
Oh, that's nice.
Got it out your system.
Good flavor.
Sort of, yeah. A little bit. What are we talking about? What's going on?
Indie games.
So, they're great.
And I also love because there are a lot of studios which are, so there is a high-end indie where these are studios that aren't beholden to giant publishers, and I think CD Projekt Red started out as one of those studios. If you remember where they came from, they were sort of an intimate, and I love the studio that made Kingdom Come Deliverance. They're not India, because there must be massive amounts of people working on that, but their entire mentality is so utterly original and uncompromising. So those are the games I really loved this year. And they sort of straddle the line between triple A or triple indie or whatever you call it. But they give me that, that being taken along for a ride, but they are uncompromising in the stories they tell and the worlds they build for us. So I love that, and I want to do that. That's the type of games I want to make, where you're along for a ride to some place you've truly not been before.
I would say that Biomutant straddles that line, doesn't it, Duncan?
Yeah, I remember we were talking about it a few months ago, and I was kind of like, what's the difference between a double A game and an indie game? I kind of
Is it like
on
a double A plus sort of thing? You have to
Yeah,
make up like a separate...
That was one of the main marketing things behind Hellblade when Ninja Theory were developing it, wasn't it? They described it as like an independent AAA game, so it was going to have like the quality and production value of a AAA game, but with the creative freedom of an indie game, if I remember right.
So the best of both worlds, because I can imagine the worst of both worlds. I can imagine the worst of both worlds is it doesn't work on day one, but don't worry, there's microtransactions.
Well, yeah. Guess so.
That's the best of both worlds and worst of both worlds. I would say that Hellblade
Worst of
is... Did I say woth?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Fuck my life. I'm too ill to do this shit, Shaun. Stop making fun
there
of
it
me.
is. There you go. Bingo. He said he's ill.
Have you got bingo? Have you got angry Harry
Did you
bingo?
not know we've got a Harry Bingo that we play every week?
Is that why you've been doing the bingo calls at the start of each episode?
I had to honest, I had you down for 20 quid before the hour mark, because I've lost out there. But there you go.
And
both of you guys.
we're two more away from got a baby on the way for me to get my line.
Wait, I've said I've got a baby on the way.
There it is.
Oh,
Well done,
one
Shaun.
more.
What do you mean? Oh, I'm not saying it again now. I'm not saying it. I'm not Beetlejuicing myself with that line. Fuck you.
Okay.
So,
Sure.
Duncan, obviously I missed about 5 minutes. Have you spoken about Lake yet?
Oh,
No, I haven't spoken about Lake yet.
Do you want to talk about Lake? Shall I do the voice?
Oh, we are going to do it, right.
Do you
I
wanna do
wasn't
the-
sure, man. Well, we haven't done one in a while, and it's the last one of the year, and it's coming out. I think it's out already.
So shall I do the voice? Okay.
Dude, come on.
Oh my god, I'm ill though. Okay, I can do the
Oh,
voice.
shut
the
up
voice.
about being ill.
I've got a baby on the way.
There it is.
I've never known
Okay,
someone so fucking poorly in my life. So
All right. So, and this week on Duncan Voices Indie Choices, we're going to have Duncan talking about the great little post simulator, Lake. So, Duncan, how has it been?
Yeah, thanks, Harry. You great mate. Hey guys, are you totally fed up for the moment you wake up to the moment your head hits the slightly too flat pillow? Doesn't work,
Yeah.
just grind you down to the point you're not even sure who you are even more, or if it's all worth it. Don't you just want to get away, you great mates?
Yes.
Yes, you do, you great mates.
that
Then
is my existence.
you need a nice trip to a lake, like Lake, the game, the game called Lake.
There we go.
Get it?
Is it good?
I love it. It's great. I played it over the summer. It's made by a little indie studio called
Well, at least you're
Gamin.
reviewing it now. It's better lake than never.
Yeah, just going to sit
Let
on
that
one
wet
for a
fart
minute.
sit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carry on, Duncan. Carry on.
Yeah, can I?
Bash.
So that come on, mate.
Okay.
Why do you talk like you're northern when you're from North Devon?
What are you talking about?
You say Bath instead of Bath, etc.
So-
Well, because my mum's from Manchester.
Yeah, but you're not.
Yeah, I know, but I was around her quite a lot growing up.
Can I
She was
carry
fairly
on?
prominent in my childhood. Yeah, go on, Duncan. Carry on.
So is the Harry show over? Can I carry on with my segment? Yeah,
Yes.
Is that all right?
Go on.
Yeah,
I'll go have another coughing fit. Don't worry.
good, yeah. So it's made by Gamin, a little indie studio from Netherlands, and it is about delivering post in a sleepy little wooded town with a great lake in the middle of it called Providence Oaks in Oregon, and it's bloody lovely. So the whole premise of the game is you play as a lady called Meredith Weiss. It's in the 80s, and you return to your hometown for a little 2-week break from your big city life, and you take over your dad's job for a couple of weeks, just delivering mail, and that's basically the premise of the game. So every level, I guess, is a day. So you know, like Monday 9 a.m. You go to you get in your post van, you get your little post route, and you knock around the little town delivering post and parcels. But on your route, you might meet people, and you get like a crazy cat lady who might give you a little job to go and take her cat to the vet, and someone at the video store needs you to deliver little video rentals. It's really, really simple and very, very chilled out, because I've got quite a bit of a thing for chilled out games. I said it for the third time tonight, but unpacking the same kind of thing, complete like antidote against kind of super ADHD AAA shooters that
Like Wilmot's Warehouse as well. You digged as well, didn't you?
God, yeah, I forgot about that. It's a blast from the past. But yeah, it's like the same kind of thing, just really, really chilled out. And I seem to be liking games that are jobs this year. So obviously, how much I love Stardew Valley, Lake. Oh, there was another one that was a job. What the hell was it? I'm a complete blank now.
Moonglow Bay.
Yeah, it was all right, but you're just a little fisherman. But yeah, the one thing I really like about it is that it's very deliberately slow. So if you get in a car in GTA, for example, you just want to like, or a wheelchair in The Good Life, you just want to hit the nos and go flying. But your mail van is deliberately slow, and your character can't run anywhere. You can fast walk, but you have to just walk slowly. And that's it's deliberately slow just to chill out. I'm almost kind of playing it. I put it on Twitter earlier on. I said it's like a perfect Sunday evening game with a cup of tea. So if you're a bit stressed out, just pop on Lake, have a little knock about this lovely little town, and you want to live there. It's really nice. But yeah, I really love it. It has the same thing again that we mentioned about with Psychonauts 2. It's like the main character's gay, but they don't make a big deal out of it. And I love that that's the thing where it's not made a big deal. Set in the 80s. Character's gay, you can go on dates with a woman. Cool, no big deal. But it's great. So I think it's just come out in Game Pass today, Tuesday. So by the time it's out, hopefully you would have played it. For about 7 hours long. But thoroughly recommend it. Really good. It's not. No, I don't know. I've got a pun for it, but it's good. Good game, Lake. The game Lake is good.
Where on the yodeling dick butt scale would you put it?
Well, I'll go right all the way.
Oh,
all the way
end
up.
the year on a high.
End the year up to the elbow. Obviously, it's not quite as manic as something like Splitgate or that kind of thing. Just lovely, just chill out. So when Harry's round you up, for example, pop on Lake, chill your eye out.
Don't worry, Duncan. I'll be winding you up less next year.
It's like smoking weed, but a game.
Smoking weed, but a game. There we go.
Or having a wank.
Let me tell them that when I see them again. They'll love that.
Wait, do you know the guys that made it?
They're from the Netherlands. We all know each other. They're friends.
There you go.
You'll drive your windmills to the pot shop, and you'll meet
up.
We'll
smoke some weed on it.
Get him to put it on the box.
Gamius is lovely. That's a lovely group of people, and I'm so glad you're stumping for it. It's a really cool game. I must admit, I'll say, because being a visual artist, it's a very pretty game.
Yeah,
it's very beautiful, and it's quite unique. And I'm super stoked that it's doing that well, because it's doing really well.
It got rated on Steam very highly as well. I looked earlier.
Yeah. It's fantastic. I remember when they first showed it to me, they asked me, what do you think? And it was still, a couple of years ago, Insecure, and I went, this is going to be good, man. Don't worry.
That's why I like that it forces you to be slow, because it's just really nice being in that town. Like, to the point, I'd happily live there. If it was real, I would no problem go and post letters the rest of my life in that town. So, yeah, good job, Gamius.
So
it's really fantastic.
Lovely job.
So when Ready Player One becomes a reality, we'll find you on the Lake World.
Yeah, just driving a mail van,
delivering a bit of mail.
That's it. That'll be me.
So basically, you want your life to just be Postman Pat,
Postman Dunks.
I wouldn't hate it. Let's be honest.
Sean, can you now?
So is your cat black and white? Because I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I've seen a picture of your cat.
No, well, Doris is black, but she's got little white bits.
That's close enough.
You can call her fat.
Okay, Shaun,
Fat and black.
you need to Photoshop Duncan's face right now onto Postman Pat immediately and put it up on the screen, please.
Nose and all.
Yes, nose and all. And can you just replace Actually, can you replace Duncan's picture for the entire podcast with just a picture of Postman Pat?
I can try.
Or at least just from now. Just switch
At least just put a beard on it.
Oh yeah, I'll put the
I
beard
beg
on
you
it.
that much. And
Just do Postman Pat with long hair and a beard.
Yeah,
And then that's
I'll just do Duncan, but with Postman Pat's nose.
yes.
And it'll be especially weird because I didn't talk for like half an hour, so people will be like, "What the fuck?
What is that picture doing?" And then it will all become apparent right about now. Oh my god, this podcast is a mess. Christ. Now, Shaun, we're going to move on to the final segment of the podcast. Now, I've written it wrong,
which you've named incorrectly again.
So
Yep.
hang on. Leave it.
That's also on our bingo card.
Fuck off. So game in 60 seconds. There we go. So I've spelt it right now. Can you introduce the next segment and explain to our guest what the next segment is?
Okay, so Game in 60 Seconds is where we have 60 seconds to describe a game that is on Game Pass. Harry and Duncan use words, I use a Photoshop picture. But it never takes 60 seconds to describe it. It takes about 3 to 5 because they're really shit clues. And it's called Game in 60 Seconds because we like Nicolas Cage and he was in a film called Gone in 60 Seconds. That's pretty much it.
Gone and Game sounds somewhat similar, and that's about it. Basically, if you've ever heard of Rockbusters that Carl Pilkington did, it's that, but with video games.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really shit, but our audience love it.
It's why we leave it till last.
Yeah. That we end the show every week with it. Actually, the reason we end the show with it is because fucking Paul and Zoe were like, I want you to put it at the end so we can literally just record your stuff and make content out of it. We've got 2 listeners and they gogglebox. They record themselves watching our show, trying to guess the clues.
Oh, wait.
They're not listeners. They're friends. They're great mates.
Yeah.
But and by the way, Paul is going to be joining as a panel member from now on. Just wanted to remind everyone of that. Shaun, by the way, Paul's joining the podcast. Just wanted to let you know.
You've already told me, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What does a panel member mean?
Well, I would say that
all of the work,
hosts.
none of the input.
No, I would say that the 3 of us are the hosts, and then Paul and Connor are panel members, so they come in when we need to bolster up the numbers because I'm not here.
When we can't be asked to do it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So let's move on to Game in 60 seconds.
Thanks for clarifying.
I wasn't here for the last episode, so you're going to have to go over last week's clues from the episode that came out yesterday for when we're recording this. So I know that Connor's was that general practitioner is quite robotic. Something
It's an
along those
absolute
lines.
machine.
Is an absolute machine. And that was, and I think it's a really good one, is MotoGP. So that's the level of bullshit that we come up with, Thomas. All right?
Oh, yeah.
They're really bad. Duncan, what was yours?
How old is your mother-in-law?
Okay, and what was that one?
It was Dragon Age. Because I forgot you did it the week before.
That was Dragon Age.
Yeah. How old's your mother-in-law?
I'm going to suck at this. Oh, man.
That's amazing. Now, Paul's one was shit. It was a picture
Paul
of...
had 2.
Okay, so his picture one was terrible. It was a picture of you, Shaun, coming out of a toaster. And what was it?
That was The Ascent.
Bullshit.
Had nothing to do with toast.
Nothing to do with toast or toasters. What was Paul's other clue?
Paul's other clue was... I'm just trying to find it again. I think it was all those kids care about is the sound of their own voice.
Yeah, and what was that one?
That was Echo Generation.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one, actually. That's all right. Now, Thomas, you're going to need to go back into the podcast scripts because Shaun...
Oh, yeah, I'll send my last week's.
He drops his pictures into the Discord so we can try and guess them. Now, I know what this one is, but there is an ongoing joke that we need to explain. So, Shaun, if you can just drop the picture into the Discord very quickly.
Yeah, I've just sent it.
Okay, so... this is so insulting, Shaun. So there is an ongoing joke that Shaun doesn't like Australians. Now, he does like Australians, but it's an ongoing joke at this point. And every time Australia gets mentioned, Shaun, what do you call them?
Well, I basically insinuate that they're all ex-convicts or criminals, but they're not. They're lovely
Yeah.
people. Just they're insects that I could do without.
He says through gritted teeth.
Okay.
Yeah, he says while the Shane Warne's got a pistol to his head. However, Shaun, can you just run us through what this answer is, please?
Oh yeah, so this was last week's, and it is it's spelled out in picture form. It is Conan Exiles. Conan Exiles.
Jesus Christ. Exiles.
Yeah, this is Conan
Okay.
Exiles, Thomas. This is
Okay,
bullshit.
hit me for this week. I would never have fucking guessed that. You know?
No,
Yeah.
this is the level
and there's
that
like
we're
a
at,
studio
mate.
of people standing behind the British flag, or the what is it?
Australian flag, yeah.
flag. It's like, you know, a crowd of people. Who are those people? They don't look like exiles.
Conan Exiles.
This week's isn't Australian based.
Good, but my one
It's cheesy word based, Australian based, Austrian based. What did you say?
Australian.
Oh, another Australian one. Okay, go.
No,
hit
this
me.
week's isn't. I've gone a
For
different route.
once, he isn't insulting
An entire nation.
an entire country for once. Good news, though. Speaking of Austrians,
Oh god.
a
Have you
famous
brought back-
No.
yeah, he's back
No.
for the fourth time. My clue this week is bloody hell. They've only gone and let Fritzl out. Bloody
You
hell.
had a Fritzl joke.
They've only gone and let Fritzl out, and that
This
game is.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
you are very aware of current affairs in fucking Austria.
Oh,
I didn't even know that.
oh no, they haven't let him out. He's a monster. Oh no, he's
Okay.
not a monster,
Okay.
is he, Duncan?
He's not a monster.
No,
That's
because
the joke. He is a
insulated-
monster.
He insulated his dungeon, didn't he? Yeah. Yeah. So my clue this week
Harry
is
just likes Joseph Fritzl jokes.
my clue this week is bloody hell. They've only gone and let Fritzl out, and yeah, that is. Which will be bleeped out, by the way, for the episode. But yeah, that's horrendous. Duncan, what's your clue this week?
Who the fuck has lost their marbles again?
What?
Is that Exo 1?
No, who
Who
the
the
fuck has
fuck?
lost their marbles again?
All I can think of is the guy that loses his marbles in the Robin Williams Pan movie.
I have
That's-
absolutely no idea. What game is that, Duncan? Oh, okay.
Who
Yeah.
the fuck? Yeah,
Yeah, I sort of.
Yeah,
I guess
I
that
like a
makes
musical
sense.
one, don't I? I don't know why that is.
Yeah. No, I'll give you that one. I'll give you.
Oh,
that
thanks. Would you?
one. Yeah.
So
Great,
kind.
Now, Shaun.
Yeah.
I'm ready to be insulted.
You won't be. It's very easy this week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we're ending on.
It's
an easy
completely it's completely non-offensive and very easy, and it'll be with you in 3, 2, 1.
one. Okay.
There we go.
What?
King B. Yeah.
B.
Crown B. B crown.
Oh, I know that one. It's
Yeah.
Is it
yeah. Yeah. Okay,
Very
I'll
good.
give that. That's like the easiest one you've ever done, but yeah, like it totally makes sense.
I
It just
I
is
thought
that.
of it, and then I remembered that the B movie is a thing, and I just had to do it.
Yeah. God, that is a thing. Also, I know this is the weirdest tangent ever. Can we just talk about the fact that Jerry Seinfeld as a bee wanted to have sex with a woman and she wanted to have sex with the bee? Like that is the plot of that film, right? That the woman wanted to bang the bee.
If you say so.
Yeah,
Like there was sexual chemistry between
I think
the bee and the woman.
I think
right?
the animators had a different idea, but
No, but yeah, that's. I'm not going mad when I say that. Like that was a big plot point of the film is that the woman and the bee fell in love.
You seem quite invested in the plot of the B movie. Is everything all right?
I mean, I guess that's where we end this episode then, and we end the year. We end the year on
Sure.
me talking about
Sean,
fucking
do me a
bees.
favour.
Harry is an
Can you-
avid DreamWorks fan.
Can you put that B movie face as Harry for the entire episode on the
Yes.
thing?
Yes,
Okay.
I can.
Okay, so just so I'm getting this right, the final episode that we're doing of the year with the biggest guest we've ever had on the show is going to have you as Postman Pat and me as Jerry Seinfeld B.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. I'm totally down with that. Fair enough. And on that, thank you to everybody for listening to us for the past just over a year. I genuinely can't believe that we're at this point. This will be the last episode of the year. So we will have a Game of the Year episode that we're recording in a few days coming out in January. We're going to have a couple of reviews coming out in between now and New Year, I think. And I'm going to be recording one of them soon. But Thomas, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to hear about everything from the Falconeer to the fuckers on Roblox. It's been amazing to have you on.
All right. I'm happy to be here. I had fun.
There we go. All right. That's how we're ending the podcast.
I'm 2 beers down and they're double, so yeah, okay.
That's the most Game of Watch thing that's ever happened.
Oh, man off my own heart.
That's amazing. Oh, can't stop laughing. Shaun, can you do the outro, please?
Well, you have to do the first half.
Oh, for God's sake. Okay, so
One sentence.
So, Duncan, as always, thank you for coming on today.
What? Why, mate? I hosted last week.
I know, it's nice of you to be a guest this week. So thank you for that.
Thank God you're off soon.
And from me, keep on... Wait, what do I say?
Listening.
Which one? Oh, okay. Keep on listening.
And from me, I just want to say Harry still hasn't thanked me ever for being on, but keep on gaming.
Sure. I really appreciate you, mate.
Thanks.
It's all right, mate.
Feels good to be appreciated.